Were the plays that we saw flawless? Well, I can tell you about the play that I saw called Flawless by Robin Goldfin, directed by Ed Shemley, with music composed by Oren Neiman, and is based on an award-winning essay by David J. Lawless. And this is one of the most wonderful plays I've ever seen about Alzheimer's. It really gets to the heart of the matter. We see David Carson solicitously looking after his wife, Paige Clemens, as she repeats over and over again, I have to get to my father's story. Your father died. What about my mother? Oh, who are you? I'm your husband of 50 years. Do we have any children? Yes, we have six children. What are their names? I mean, she just, this is the same. We get this over and over and over. And he just lovingly looks after her, makes sure she takes her pills. And then we see the younger versions of themselves in Hannah Lauer and John Lempe. And you see how when they're first married and how he wants to have 6 kids. So you see how their life started and how their life is ending. And we see one of their daughters, Estella, Deanna Henson, who, she doesn't have the patience that her father has. She wants her mother in a home with other people that would, understand the situation, but he can't let go of this wife. This woman is a soulmate, and he will literally love her till the day he dies. Really, it's very moving, and you get that whole repetitious Alzheimer feeling going. So you really just admire his patience, because you're sort of more like the daughter, like, I could never do this. So I'm giving this a happy face because Robin Goldfin is just an incredible writer.
Arms and the Man by George Bernard Shaw is being presented by the Gingold Theatrical Group and is now playing at Theater Row on 410 West 42nd Street. The play centers around a civil war and a desperate soldier who during the Civil War seeks refuge. And where does he seek refuge? But in the bedroom of the daughter of his enemy, the other side. And so the plot thickens. The young woman takes the soldier in and offers him comfort. And later on, when the war ends, we find out a little bit more about this errant soldier and the young woman who took him in. Raina Petkoff is the name of the character, the young lady who takes the soldier in, and she is played by Chanel Bailey. And the errant soldier is played by Keshav Mudliar. Both of these actors have a lot of energy and a lot of spunk, but they are still a bit green around the edges. They have a bit more to learn. In contrast, the woman who plays the mother, the character's name is Catherine Petkoff, and she is played quite ably by Karen Zemba. Karen Zemba reminded me of Eve Arden. She uses her wit and her charm, and she adds comic zing to everything that she says. The rest of the cast does an admirable job, and it all adds up to a delightful evening entertainment, so I give it a happy face.
Marry Me, a play by Hans-Sol Young, directed by Lee Silverman at New York Theater Workshop. Marry Me is a satirical take about sex and its disappointments and frustrations of not achieving orgasm. It is based on Greek tragedies and many references about various other plays such as Angels in America by Kushner and Country Wife. Its location is somewhere about an army and a navy base. Sharper your imagination and imagine where the hell are they based. There is an army general, Agamemnon, Mrs. Memnon, and a soldier, Shane Horn, Esco Jolie, played by that actor. His wife, Sappho, based on Sappho. His name is Nicole Williams, Villamille. She's very frustrated sexually and keep herself busy by writing silly poems. Shane is her source of sexual pleasures. Everyone communicates with the people at the Naval Army base through paper cups attached to a wire. It is the most confusing, plotless play with comments on other contemporary plays, which were so much better, than Marry Me, to say the least. In one scene, even the cast members are dressed as angels, like Tony Kushner's Angels in America. The whole thing did not make any sense to me, though there were frequent laughs from the audience. It's unhappy face from my side.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, Hansel Jung's Marry Me is about a slut who wants to get her Marys on already because she satisfies everyone but herself. And Hansel Jung, one of my favorite plays, a wolf play, and I don't understand this because she's such a good writer, and this was garbage. And Esco Joulet, who was so brilliant in wolf play. I mean, Esco is a wonderful actor, and again, this is a great cast. The acting was superb, but I just had no clue what was going on. It was just so, this whole, screwing around thing was just so repetitious. I mean, sorry, but sex is boring. It's got to have some sort of build or purpose, and it had nothing here. And I just was very disappointed. So I'm with Bina here that, I just, I have to give it an happy face, and I don't want to. I really don't. Recently, I saw two plays at 59 East 59th Street. The first one is Steve Cousin of the Civilians has put together artificial flavor to prove that AI cannot make a great musical or anything else worthy of entertainment consumption. Soliciting the audience for suggestions, he asked ChatGPT to create some different elements of artistic expression. With our audience, we got a Georgia O'Keeffe painting of Weird Al holding a cauliflower and a snippet of Virginia Woolf and a couch. But then came the crux of the show to use it to produce a musical with our suggestions. We picked a grunge band reunion. We got this convoluted story with some Madagascar monkey that nobody knew about that an audience member suggested. It was amusing to watch the actors struggle to sing and make sense of this nonsense. As an improv show, this was fun, but there was no danger, at least, of AI taking over creativity. We are safe from artificial flavors overrunning our palate. Happy face for the humans, unhappy face for Chat GPT. Now, the second show I saw there is called Pair, P-A-I-R, which is actually a pun with pear, P-E-A-R, because Number 11 Production has written Pair about the love story and collaboration of Kuji van Bruggen and Klaus Oldenburg, juxtaposed with the fruit pear, who has escaped the fruit bowl and explores the world to avoid being eaten and to find herself. Will either pair find what they are searching for? Emily Bautista's Pair was endearing as she excitedly made new discoveries and what this constant searching did to her spirits. Julie Congress's Kuji van Bruggen was a no-nonsense type and knew her own mind and what she thought of Oldenburg's work. Stephen Conroy's Klaus Oldenburg was into happenings and creating giant things out of trash. It was Kuji van Bruggen that gave him more focus. The art discussions were over my head, but I really got a kick out of learning more about this influential artist and his even more important muse. I couldn't help but be tickled by the singing pair, as it reminded me of my comedy act where I had a pair singing I Love Paris. The ending got a bit fringy, which gave it this WBE weird but enjoyable flavor. So I'm giving this a happy face minus.
At Theater for a New Audience in Brooklyn, you could see Waiting for Godot, written by Samuel Beckett and directed by Aaron Arbus, starring Michael Shannon as Estragon or Gogo and Paul Sparks as Vladimir or Didi. In this play, two homeless men who have been friends for many years meet by a desolate road in the evening to wait for a powerful person whom they've never met and who seems unlikely to show up. Estragon thinks about striking out on his own and always strays away each night and exposes himself to danger. His feet stink and his boots are a constant problem. Vladimir's clothes are less shabby and less dirty. Despite the relative scarcity of food, his breath stinks of garlic. The two guys amuse themselves by repeated bleakly comic routines, such as contemplating how they could hang themselves on the spindly tree, which is the only landscape indication in the play, except for maybe some rocks or another tree stump. The Beckett estate strictly controls productions, so new productions vary very little from earlier ones. Okay, this time though, we had a really elongated playing space because all the seats in the orchestra were taken away, except that they put them on either side of the long space. And this made for when other people come on the scene, when the rich man Pazzo and his servant slave Lucky come. Pazzo has a really, really, really long rope to pull his servant. And also, when the little boy appears, he's all the way in the back, very distant, and the lighting there gives him a halo effect, so he seems like an angel. Again, I've seen this play many times. It was really important to me when I first read it and saw it in high school. I thought it was such an exciting, different kind of theater. I still kind of like it, and I'm willing to go to see different actors play it. But I'm not sure if I really get that much new impact from it. Still, because Shannon and Sparks were so good, the staging was so wonderful, the lighting and everything good, I'm giving it a happy face.
I just saw one of the most extraordinary solo shows I will probably ever see. Michael Murphy's trilogy, called The Man in the Woman's Shoes, I Hear You and Rejoice, and The Mysterious Case of Kitsy Rainey. And it was written and performed by Michael Murphy with basically just a chair, and it was incredible. In The Man in the Woman's Shoes, we first meet Pat Farnan in County Sligo. He's a mute cobbler who communicates with us, the audience, by listening to his thoughts. He's talking to us and he tells us, these are my thoughts. And then when you hear him trying to talk, he's like, but everyone can understand him telepathically, I guess. So he tells us about his friends and the odd folks that inhabit his small town: a water diviner, a man who knows his sports statistics, excitable Jimmy, who's also a poacher, a priest overlooking their souls, and the inimitable, intimidating, incredible Kitsy Rainey, who coaches a local football team, St. Jude's, that never seems to win. It's like any beloved team we all love, like the Mets or the Bills. So he's wearing her shoes into town in order to break them in for her. She has some breaking news for him. The second one, I Hear You and Rejoice, continues with our getting to know Kitsy and the rest even better at an occasion orchestrated by Kitsy that will have you howling, singing, and ultimately crying. And the last one, The Mysterious Case of Kitsy Rainey, we get her backstory and kind of a little bit of tying up loose ends and putting a little nice end to this trilogy. And I've got to say, Michael Murphy, not only does he change his voice so you understand each character very distinctly, but his whole demeanor changes. I mean, it's like you're looking at a completely different person, but it's the same one. And this is like a 3-act epic play that is just, you're just caught up in the whole thing. And my friend who came with me, the two of us were just like astounded by this. And it was just so incredibly moving and funny. And we just love these people so much. So this gets like the hugest happy face I can ever get, to infinity and beyond. Brittany K. Allen's Redwood at Ensemble Studio Theater is about complicated family history and relationships. Everything is going splendidly for Meg Wilson. She just moved in with her smart physicist boyfriend, Drew, and she's going to make a speech in front of the New York Senate for the kids she teaches for more funding. Meg is helping her mother, Beverly, out making deviled eggs for a church function and discussing her mom's twin uncle, Stevie, who is bugging the family to join in this latest project to track down the family tree with a free genealogy site. All Beverly knows is that her great-great-grandmother, Almeda, had a kindly master who actually included her sons in his will. She thinks they may have even been star-crossed lovers, despite the fact that she was a slave and he was a master. Uncle Stevie is throwing himself not only into genealogy, but takes many exercise classes from the same instructor to get over a bad breakup. In his family digging, Uncle Steve discovers something shocking that can change the course of Meg's perfect life. What to do with this damning piece of information? Will Drew's stepmom, Harriet, be the one to put everything into perspective, or will the ancestors have something to say? This is quite a powerful drama with such a great twist, fraught with dramatic possibilities that are all explored. Some of the characters act inconsistently, though. One minute they are flippant, which annoys the other person, and then when they realize the gravity of the situation, the other person wants them to smile and joke again. The role reversals didn't add up. Sorry to be vague, but I don't want to give too much away because it is all just so juicy. Our Lee set drawers to reveal all the props necessary for the scenes were ingenious. This is such a clever play and so well acted that it should not be missed. There was an equally compelling talkback afterwards. Happy face minus. I recently went to the La Mama Gala and I caught it with Tamar, Rogoff, who I found out was choreographing the latest National Yiddish Theater Folkspine show called Amid the Falling Walls, which is going on now till December 10th. So here is my conversation with her. Okay, hello, here we are with
Tamar Rogoff.
Oh, you're the choreographer. Yeah. Oh, I know you. I've seen your Clara Danes at PS 122.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that was a while ago, 2007, 2005. I don't know which one you saw.
Yeah, I remember because she was crawling on the sidewalk.
Yes.
So how do you come up with your ideas? They're very inventive and interesting.
Well, they possess me. You know, there's got to be a moment where I decide that I have an image in mind and I have to bring it to light. It's usually a very autobiographical moment, but so that it's not really so insular, I ask people to join me in the cast to kind of universalize my autobiographical material and see where it lands with them. So, you know, my work, I have no idea like what will come next, but it has to do with the building blocks in my own life and accepting you know, some difficult things often.
So what have you got coming up now?
Well, I am in the middle of choreographing a Yiddish musical for the Bina Theater.
Oh, Amid the Walls?
Yes.
That's you!
That's me, Amid Falling Walls. And I am totally out of the La Mama element. I am in Broadway land, you know, where there's a whole lot more rules. There's just a whole different atmosphere, and it makes me so thankful that I can work at La Mama. It's that I love what I'm doing now, but I realize that collaboration with the artist takes time, and when you're working on a show like that, it has to move along faster. And you know, it's not my show. I'm in the service of a director and a musical director, and so it's just an interesting, complete change for me.
Oh, can you tell us a little bit about Amid the Walls so I can plug it in when we talk about
lovely.
it?
Well, it's the actual words and music that were written in the ghettos in 1941, 1942. At that time, the Warsaw Ghetto, the Vilna Ghetto, they were getting liquidated, but the most amazing thing was the art went on. And so what I'm choreographing is the cabarets that were happening then, which we're bringing like the real story of the strife, with the kind of razzmatazz, cabaret. So it's very interesting and a bit challenging to figure out what those people in those times meant by putting together sort of like show music with words that were really heavy. So we're into week 1.5 and a few more weeks to go.
Well, I'm looking forward to your next venture. Thank you.
Thank you.
Food, created and co-directed by Jeff Sobel, co-created and magic by Steve Cuiffo, and co-directed by Lee Sunday Evans, is about consumerism at its worst. If you get there early, you can get a seat at the table. Otherwise, you will just be an audience member, which is very boring. The best way to enjoy a Jeff Sobel show is to be part of it, like I did in his previous show of Home, where I slept in a bed and did the dishes and danced around. Where I was sitting, I missed a lot, so my friend behind me described what was going on. People were given menus to read with observations out loud and ordered various foods that Mr. Sobel presented to silently eat. He had fruits and vegetables and some unappetizing, unexpected items that had the audience gasping in horror. It almost reminded me of Todd Robbins eating light bulbs. Then he moved up. Then this table became this giant dirt thing. And he moved a herd of bison around the huge table that is now a dirt covering, which felt like hours. Then objects sprung out like wheats and oil derricks and towns. Now, I love Jeff Sobel and was so excited to see what he would come with next. All my favorites are allowed one clunker, and this was his. It was pointless, boring, and went nowhere. And I was so disappointed because I just think he's brilliant. And I still do. It's just, I'll see what his next one is. Jeff Sobel is an acquired taste that usually I find delicious. Hopefully you will enjoy this more than I did. Give it a try. Maybe you'll enjoy it more than I did. Maybe at the table. You'll get at the table, you'll enjoy it. But I'm giving this an unhappy face. I'm sorry, I'm giving most shows an unhappy face. I'm sorry about that. Scott Brown and Anthony King's Gutenberg the Musical has gone from 2006 New York Music Festival, where it went into 59 East 59th Street theaters, and then it transferred to Actors Playhouse in 2007, and 17 years later arrives on Broadway with that dynamic Mormon duo Josh Gad and Andrew Vanos. Let's say a lot has happened in the past 17 years, but not how devastatingly funny this show still is. Bud and Doug are pitching their Gutenberg the Musical to us with hopes of landing on Broadway some glorious day. Since they are the only two pitching this multicast play, they use over 100 caps with the characters' names to put on their show. And being Germany, they even have a character named the Little Anti-Semitic Girl. Since no one really knows anything about the real Gutenberg, it gives them a chance to take liberties with what they suppose his life to be. His loves, losses, and how he even came to create the printing press and the opposition such an invention could generate. This is my third version to see this comic gem. The first pairing was Jeremy Shamus and Christopher Fitzgerald, who are now in the newest Sondheim and the Spamalot revival, respectively. Alfie saw it with David Turner and Darren Goldstein at the defunct Actors Playhouse.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to see it just 16 years ago, in 2007. It was just, and I remember enjoying it then.
When you were 9 years old.
When I was 9 years old, but seeing it now, as I'm older, I didn't remember anything about the show, just that I thought it was hilarious. I still think it's hilarious. I still think it's such a great time. I mean, it's nonstop action from the get-go. The minute they get into Gutenberg the Musical, it just goes balls to the walls. It's absolutely insane how much they're doing. And the music is incredible too. You think it's just gonna be funny, but the songs are really good. And when you say they take liberties, I mean, they really take liberties. This was a must see, must watch, and it was just such an incredible time.
Yeah, I mean, you actually should have seatbelts on the seats because you're gonna fall off your seat laughing so hard. That's how brilliant this is. So, I mean, I am giving this a major, major happy face.
Same here. Major, major, major happy face. What a treat.
Ossie Davis's Purlie Victorious, a non-Confederate romp through the cotton patch, is a satirical comedy about getting what is rightfully yours. Purlie has found Lutie Belle Gussie Mae Jenkins. He can get his family's church back with the $500 bequeathed to his Aunt Harriet's last living relative, Cousin B, by having Lutie Belle impersonate his Cousin B. Missy, his sister-in-law, is skeptical. Doesn't matter, as her husband Gitlow, Purlie's brother, won't have anything to do with the scheme. Gitlow ostensibly kowtows to the white landowner, old Captain Kotchapee, who still has Confederate values. He's an old Southern boy. His son Charlie, who was raised by Adela, the black nanny, has more progressive ideals. And you know whose side the sheriff and deputy are going to be on. Will Purlie succeed in getting to preach in his family's church again, or will he be thwarted by old Captain Kotchapee and the honest Lutie Belle Gussie Mae Jenkins, who is sweet on the loquacious and charismatic Purlie? This was just beyond delightful. I mean, Leslie Odom Jr. and then my favorite, Carol Young as Lutie Belle. They're just so adorable together. And you have Heather Alicia Sims, Billy Eugene Jones, J.O. Saunders as old Captain Kotchapee, and Noah Robbins as his son, Vanessa Bell Calloway, and Bill Timoney, and Don Pidgick, and a great cast. And it was just really a wonderful, adorable show, and I really strongly recommend it to one and all. Happy Face Plus. And some leftover shows we didn't get to talk about is In Hell with Jesus Top 40 ends November 26th with Chris Tanner at La Mama. The new Victory Theater showcases card stunts and comedy in Javier Jarquin's Card Ninja, which goes to November 26th. And in Rep at Playwrights Horizon are Sad Boy and Harpy Land till November 26th. And until December 3rd is Amusement and School Pictures. And there are many shows closing December 3rd, but our next show is December 2nd, and we'll get to a bunch of them.